This founder had a great product and a bold rebrand underway, but their homepage was leading with the wrong hook and burying the real differentiator. ScreenSpace isn't just another product or tool. It's a way to turn scattered content into a single interactive story buyers actually use. In this creative gem, we dig into how to use product tours as their core messaging wedge, why cleaning up CTAs can lift conversions fast, and how founder credibility becomes a moat no competitor can touch. Let's get into it.
Hello, I'm Darren Fanton, CEO, co-founder with my twin brother at ScreenSpace. We help product marketers demand gen and the full kind of go-to-market motion leverage interactive storytelling to help their buyers understand their product very quickly and pull themselves down funnel. So what does interactive storytelling mean? So we actually take traditional flat content, turn it into interactive adventures where you can click through and explore a product or a framework or a roadmap and dive deeper where relevant for your clients or your potential customers. And so they can dive and interact and explore on their own, which I'll show a little bit later. But it's a really fun, engaging experience that your buyers are actually going to use, and you can track every single click and understand what actually is driving your buyer in what they're looking for.
Totally. And you're kind of in a new but fast-growing space when it comes to interactive storytelling, but also for like product tours. And I know you can do a lot more than that within ScreenSpace. Can you run me through kind of how you got the idea for this product and, what do you build it?
Yeah. I've actually got an interesting origin story. So my background is actually from film and television in Hollywood. My twin brother and I had an agency, and all we did was visual storytelling for commercials, films, Super Bowl ads, and we built moments that people would remember, right? So it would build. It'd be an impact, a transformation on screen that people would relate to and walk away motivated, inspired, changed in some sort of way. And what got me into the B2B space and out of Hollywood was I actually love the idea that the B2B audience is the worst possible audience in the world, right? They don't want to be there. They're overwhelmed. They're confused. And you have to not only find a way as a product marketer, anyone in marketing really, to get them to lean in and want to learn more about your product, your solution, your thing, and get all the distractions in the world to just dissolve away and get them immersed in your world. And that is an exciting opportunity that my twin brother and I decided to explore. And we built ScreenSpace, and right out the gate, we realized the problem wasn't access to video to create more video or other, more visualizations or content. The problem was the video itself. It's the medium to tell a story that people can emotionally relate to, remember, and connect with. And so that's where ScreenSpace came about, was the idea of, well, what if we could take these videos and these images that are either show too much information or confusing or show too little and make them interactive and let you zoom in and explore that content in an animated storytelling world. And that pulls people down a journey. And so that's where our technology, where ScreenSpace was built, was the foundation was video and video games. We pulled them together, and now we have a canvas like Canva that you can design these animations and design these worlds that people can explore and go through.
Yeah, I love it. That it's always such a core pain point in B2B. For people who are listening to this, who are kind of your ideal buyers or ideal customers? Like, is it a buying committee situation, or is it, there was one champion, are you selling top down or bottom up? Walk me through a little bit about that.
It's interesting, right? So where we fit into the workflow is content creation. And typically top of funnel content that can scale. So you're thinking videos, product demos, and interactive tours, a category that's emerging now. Decks, any content, one pagers that you're giving to a client. We work in that space where instead of having to generate that content either internally or with an agency, you can build that all inside ScreenSpace. It's faster to build. It's a better buyer experience, and it's a lot more trackable than traditional medium. So as a workflow, that fits perfectly with product marketers who care about the story and having that translate consistently up and down the funnel and across channels and departments. Um, and that's one link that product marketer can share with everyone and resonates anywhere on the funnel. And then the demand gen. So the story starts right when the buyer first comes, discovers their problem, or they become solution aware. They know they have a problem, but they're trying to find what solution is best for them. That's when the story starts, and that's when ScreenSpace is the most impactful. When you can right out the gate build that emotional connection, build that trust with that buyer, so that they trust you as their guide to solve this problem versus a competitor or another solution, or just not doing anything at all. So demand gen and product marketers love our solution, and they're fantastic champions. But when it comes to making the decision, we typically have the VP of marketing, CMOs hopping on the call so they can check out the product and see how that's going to translate into their CRMs and into the pipeline and affect the business objectives that are top of mind today.
Absolutely. So there's a lot to unpack there. Do you want to go ahead and maybe pull out kind of I know you're in the middle of like repositioning and doing a big redesign, and that's what we're going to chat about today on this podium. But do you want to kind of go ahead and just kind of give some context and just pull up the original version of your homepage today?
Sure.
And then we'll kind of take a quick look at that and then kind of walk through what it's evolving into.
Yeah, absolutely. More than happy to share that. So this is, I don't know if it's going to be live by the time this podcast goes live, but this is our current website. We've already done some copy testing at the top here. But what we have previously been focusing on is the idea of visual storytelling. What we've found is the storytelling narrative capabilities of ScreenSpace is why our buyers buy from us. But if we lead with that, it's too abstract. It's not part of their workflow. They're not working on storytelling at 12 p.m. on a Wednesday. So we've shifted that script to focus on, the actual workflow of creating that content. And right now we're for this landing page, focusing on demo experiences where product tours are fantastic at showing a product, but they're more like a presentation, a click through PowerPoint where you can click on one screen to the next. You can see the product and touch and feel it, but it's out of context of the buyer's world. And so we shift that and we focus on the buyer, who they are, what do they need, start the story with them. And then if it's relevant, take them right into the product. So the way our website's designed right now is just below the fold. We've got an actual example of ScreenSpace. So this is a ScreenSpace experience that's embedded right on the website here. And so you can click on Fly ScreenSpace and watch a little video. You can take a tour of how it works, and that'll take you right into our product. And we can see how that all works here. Or I'm just going to head back here. Or you can actually learn a little bit more about what visual storytelling is. Again, a lot of this is going to be changing with our new brand and positioning, but these are the use cases of ScreenSpace. I'm just going to jump over to a bigger window here. So these are how our customers are currently using ScreenSpace. They're visualizing timelines like this. So showing the before and after, right? So where's your buyer today? What are they feeling? What pain are they experiencing? Could add videos and animations in here. Where do they want to get to? What's that promised land that feels just out of reach? That it sounds too good to be true. Visualize that for them, and then show them the path. Right? Starting with the solution alignment. How long is that going to take? And then where relevant, you can actually go right into a product tour in context of that journey. So we're not just diving right into the product. We're starting with where does this fit in my world in the next 6 months of my life? You can start to learn more about the product, the value first. What is this going to do for me? And then as you actually go through that tour, it all ties back to that value, that capability that we're going to unlock. And so they can click through and see what that looks like, that experience. And then of course, it's going to sound too good to be true. Product's too easy. That was too fast. So you can validate that moment, with an emotional, it's actually that easy, but then really land it by bringing in a customer story that's relevant to that journey and that pain point that we just clicked through. So you can meet Jason and go through his story, clicking on each of those steps right through, or you can visualize it in a different way. And so that's what is exciting about ScreenSpace, and where we're pivoting a bit is, as you can see here, ScreenSpace can really visualize anything. It can visualize your frameworks, which is extremely important in the AI world, where it's not just about the tool. It's about why it was built, how it was built, the people behind it. So you can click and explore that. It's about frameworks, what's, the tip of the iceberg versus what you actually need, and visualizing that. So everything can be done all inside ScreenSpace in the same experience. And even going into persona stories, where you can select your persona and learn more about the problem that you're experiencing and what kind of solutions are out there, more top of funnel thought leadership content.
Yeah.
So that's the current state of ScreenSpace. And what we found, we started off with product tours, we evolved into visualizing that journey, and our customers pulled us into infographics and everything else that they struggle to convey in a self-serve manner. So that's how that's inspired us to reposition ScreenSpace and rebrand a bit, so that it makes it more clear of how we position that workflow in the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for kind of sharing a little bit more backstory of your customer base today and the use cases today. How many of them are literally just brought in because of the product or versus some other need? Like, how much of it is literally they started because they know they need a product for it?
That is a great question. So they come to us, I would say 70% of our customers come in searching for a product tour, and that's how they find ScreenSpace, primarily because that's how we're categorized under G2 and other review platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll see us on a customer website, and traditionally we used to be more of a product tour solution. So they'll see product tours and think, okay, it's a product tour. That's what we need. What's interesting is about half of those customers that come in thinking they need a product tour, buy from us, end up creating their first interactive experience. Their first demo doesn't even show the product. It's showing the problem and solution behind the product, something that is the core of what differentiates them, where the product is very similar to their competitors in many ways. So we're finding that the product tour is still a very important part of the piece of the story, but they're focused on everything that goes around it. That's actually more important than your product in itself. Once they understand what your product is and what it does, everything else is more important.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So what you're just basically describing is what I would call product tours are your messaging wedge. It's a thing that, people immediately know that's what they need. And that's like probably the last thing they're thinking before they sign up to ScreenSpace.
Right.
So in that case, it would probably stand to reason, even if there's, and I totally agree with you, there's a lot of things behind a product tour that they might need. You probably still need to kind of get them in there in the door by talking their language, which is product tour. And that also kind of gets rid of the blank slate problem that things like Canva have, where it's like,
Right.
oh, you can pretty much do anything in ScreenSpace, and the same thing you can do pretty much anything in Canva, which also means analysis paralysis, right?
Yep, exactly.
But you're kind of saying there, 70% of those people are coming in thinking, oh, I just need a product tour, and then they see event ScreenSpace, and they're like, maybe I don't just need a product tour, but they see all the other capabilities you have. So would it make sense to then leverage in your new version of the site to lean heavily in demos, product tours, just at that initial wench, and then you wow them with everything else?
Exactly. And the product tour, they what's the reason why someone will go and try to find a product tour solution? They're thinking the problem is the buyer doesn't know what their product is. So, and it's not clear to them. So to make it more clear, they're going to give them a product tour. The problem is a product tour is not going to, it's going to answer what is it, but it's not going to answer why does it matter?
Yeah.
Who is it for? What is it actually going to do for me? And provide context for everyone else on my team. So if I have another stakeholder, an executive If they saw a product tour, they're going to get overwhelmed and think it's a lot more complex than it is, because that's not where their headspace is at. They need to
Totally.
see a framework or a roadmap. Whereas a technical buyer, if they saw a roadmap, they're not going to get it. They want to see how easy it is. So that's where you need an adaptive experience, an adaptive narrative. And you can't have that inside of a product, because a product is a product tour, because that's natively product centric about the what and the delivery of the value, but it doesn't solve for an answer. Where does it fit in my life, and how's it going to change and transform my business and me personally? And that's where everything else completes the story and completes the picture.
Yeah. It's almost like with most creative people, product closure with them. And it's like kind of that initial pain point, but then you don't really exactly realize until later on that it's not actually solving the underlying issue totally, which is differentiation. Like
Right.
why is that product, needed, and why is it, specifically for me that a product store can do that? But oftentimes like a solution like ScreenSpace, where you get them in the door of the product store, and then suddenly they see all the other capabilities, and then you can go into
Right.
what I call my own copywriting framework, which is basically wedge to wow, where they're going in, okay, let's go in the wedge, and then let's go wow them with everything else to make it
Exactly.
their ways to here.
Right. And depending on where they are in their journey, the product might be the next thing they need to see. So with a choose your own adventure experience with one link, they can dive in anywhere they are in their buyer journey, whether it's on the problem solution side and education and, thought leadership, or down, further down funnel, they actually want to see a specific feature. All of that is in the one link and very accessible to anyone at any point. And to segue into the rebrand, is what we found is the product tours just answer the what, and you need to answer the other questions. The same thing as an explainer video that answers the why, but it doesn't actually show the what, right? It doesn't let people touch and feel it in context of their world. So every piece of content, webinars, videos, decks, one pagers, reports, all of those only answer part of the story. They'll only answer one question or two questions that a buyer needs. So we collect those all and place them all inside one link and then string them into a narrative.
And that seems like a perfect segue to go into your rebrand. You want to kind of pull up what you have today, and we can kind of
Sure.
figure out if this wedge is front and center.
Absolutely. More than happy to show. It is so copies, everything's very work in progress, placeholder style right now. But the new direction with ScreenSpace is we've found a lot of our customers love working with our team because we're experts in storytelling and narrative design. And that's the one piece that AI struggles to solve, and a tool that like Canva can't solve it itself. The actual creative side of it is very important. And so we decided to go with the dark theme and zag, where everyone else in the product tour solutions are zigging, where we're going dark, we're going bold, warm, and very story-based, very buyer-centric. So this is all just a temporary copy at the top here. But as you scroll down, we very quickly want to show you what it is, since ScreenSpace is very visual. So we have a little interactive experience here that you can click through. This will be automatically animated, so you can watch it through, or you can click K on your keyboard and take over and play with it as well. This will also be editable, so you can actually play with the product itself. So everything's about touching and feeling the product. So you can turn this into an actual editable canvas identical to our product, but you can play with it on the website here. So this shows that, product tour is just one part of the story. So you can visualize roadmaps, problem solution, customer stories, all the things I just showed earlier all in one. So you can click through that. So that's the work in progress here. And then here we're actually visualizing for us, there's a bit of education, right? We're a new category. We get coupled with the product tours category very quickly, but we have different checkboxes. We're not looking to be a clone of your product and just show a walkthrough of your product. We're looking to tell a narrative that a buyer can understand, bring clarity, and be able to explore and remember and convey to the rest of their team. So here we actually let the cursor is going to turn into a little buyer cursor with a little color, and you're going to turn into the buyer. And as you play with these old traditional formats, a video, a 9-minute video, a 42-page report, a text-heavy website or one-pager, as you go through here, you're going to actually feel what your buyer is feeling right now with your existing content. It's flat, it's lengthy, the message is buried, whether it's in time on a timeline or deep inside of a PDF. So as you scroll down, we focus on what actually matters most to you, what's top of mind. Most people come to our website thinking they need a new case study, a product tour, a video, a very specific content piece that they need to work on in the next quarter. So we focus first on that. And this is what traditional product tours looks like. This is what it looks like in ScreenSpace. And as you scroll, you'll see what it looks like for a framework. And in ScreenSpace, a one-pager, your roadmap, a deck inside Google Slides, very static and boring, and the message is hidden, and the ScreenSpace version of that. So that's step one is create that content that your buyers are actually going to use. Step two, as we scroll down, then you string that content into a story that adapts to your buyer. So you'll be able to see how a director goes through the story and what they're going to see, an executive, a user, and each one is going to be a very visually different story. One showing the product, very technical, another's very ROI investment based. So everyone gets to understand your solution and come to consensus with their own journeys. And then from there, that's all placed inside one shareable link that you can put anywhere inside your funnel. So you're actually putting your entire funnel, all of your content in one place that is going to answer all the questions, whether it's someone who's not even problem aware yet to someone who's very far into the buying process, or even a customer, and they're coming up to renewal and they want to remember why they actually purchased your solution, or they want to see what else you offer. All the same link. And what's great about that one link is that, I know you'll love these graphics here, is that you could track it all back to pipeline. You put a GPS tracker on every single stakeholder, every buyer, and now your sales team, your CS team, everyone knows exactly what that buyer cares about. And not just the downloads, the clicks, the opens. You're actually seeing what problem statement did they click on? What value prop did they explore? And what part of the product actually resonated with them? And did they get to that aha moment? If they didn't get to that aha moment, what are the stats that from previous interactions that if they saw that they would have converted? And that can help sales teams lead their conversations and refocus the story to help improve their buyer experience. So the idea here is that at the end of the month, when you're instead of putting sticky notes up on the whiteboard to say, oh, downloads here, all the different channels, you just project the ScreenSpace analytics, our buyer hub, and you'll see exactly color-coded journeys of what actually works and what doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to can you reshow your screen?
Yep.
And can you go up to the interactive demo? Awesome. So a couple of notes. You've done a couple of things that I think are very, very, very smart. The new design looks amazing. Kudos there. Other things that I think a lot of particular SaaS companies do not do as well as you're already doing it is the interactive demo and explaining, okay, here are the kind of core use cases. You are leaning into product tour being that easier wedge, and then kind of slowly explaining why a product tour by itself isn't enough. But you're still kind of capturing that wedge in there. So kudos. One thing I would maybe challenge you on just a little bit is, obviously you are a newer company. You have advantages with that being that you can be founder-led marketing. So instead of using an AI avatar, why don't you actually utilize yourself and your own images and your own video into the interactive demo so that each of those key points have, a little win video or a little video of you explaining it. When A is going to build that parasocial relationship, and two, going to build trust and do things that your competitors can't do. Yeah. So something like that.
Yeah. So there I am. Yep. So that we are actually going to be using my avatar to be animating right now. So we've kind of put our current website on hold. But yeah, so it will be me that's going to intro people into the experience. This one at the top here, and I love fantastic feedback. The one at the top here is going to be generic. So it's going to be not even a fake website. It's going to be very clear what you can put into this demo. And then we're going to have a big button in the corner where you can share our demo. So the real ScreenSpace demo about ScreenSpace, that's going to have me all over it, more founder led. You can share that with anyone else on your team. So that way that leave behind that you're getting from our website is going to be our demo. But the one at the top here is more generic. So you can, and a big part of it is a lot of people aren't imaginative. They can't connect the dots. So that's where we went even further from our current website to make this look very, neutral, and the focus being on what the ScreenSpace elements are, so that they can picture their product or their solution inside this experience without thinking, wait, that's Darren, but is that actually something I can do? Or it gets very meta. So we've always had that challenge, but I love that feedback. And founder led is a big moat of ours that we're really leaning into. So outside of the website, you're going to see me everywhere. And then inside the website, you'll see me kind of tie everything else in. So it eases them in.
Totally, that's super smart. And one thing that if you just want to go back to your review section, I know you have logos further down on the page. Bring them up. There's a reason that 95% of SaaS homepages have that logo bar or sometimes see testimonials there for a case study. It's because it works. Having social proof above the fold is just going to help improve conversions. Another thing that is missing from you, that I would definitely challenge you on is, I believe are you trying to be fully sales led, or are you trying to get people to create a free account?
So we're going to be splitting that. So at the bottom of the page, it's going to have the do-it-yourself, and we're going to put them in buckets so they know exactly where they fit, whether it's do-it-yourself, done with you, or done for you. I mean, each of those will have a different call to action, which you could even see up here. We have free trial, self-guided demo, or team demo. But so we're still, we're going to have a call to action here. We're still trying to decide, is it going to go to a sales call with me? Is it going to go to a product demo? Or since we know who's on our website now, will it just switch based off of whether they're an ICP or they're the right size, and which way are they going to push them? So
I'm going to push you a little bit on this one.
Yes, please.
I think you might be overcomplicating it, which is incredibly common when you are kind of the face of the product and also like pretty technical on all sides of this. So like to you, it makes sense. Oh, I can create a free account. I can create my account or a self-guided demo or an actual demo. To most of the CMOs or demand gen leaders who are on your page, it won't be as obvious. So I don't have a problem, unlike a lot of conversion copywriters who do have this problem. I don't have a problem with having 2 CTAs, 3 pushing it. But if you are literally split in the data between people who create an account and people who do a demo, then put 2 CTA buttons in your hero section today. And this literally have to be like, create your account, book a demo. Maybe don't do the watch a demo unless you have way too many goals to be able to do on your own. Have both of those in there, and then give it, 90 days and reevaluate at that point in time to figure out, okay, if you're seeing one of those have a much higher uptick and or a much higher conversion, then lead in with that one. But at the start, have just 2 of them up there and put that in your viewer section so that it is incredibly obvious. And then also have them also in your navigation menu. So again, it's incredibly obvious what you want somebody to do, and have the exact same copy CTA in both places. Because if you have different copy for each of those places, you wind up with micro friction that can actually take conversions.
Great. I love that. That's very good feedback. So when you see this live, it shouldn't look like this. It should have the call to action at the top. We'll have the logos at the top, and call me out if it goes live without them.
And it should have it right underneath where you say create bite-sized interactive journeys. There should be 2 CTA buttons there. one that is a demo, one that is create your account. And then I also have to say, you already have the logos, just move them up to right below the hero section so that when someone's on a laptop or on their phone, they're going to see logos. That is going to instantly increase your conversion rates, because then you don't look like some homegrown product. You actually are showcasing your social proof right up front.
Yeah, love it.
And then scroll down a little bit further. So you have the interactive demo, love it. Adding in those images, adding in that more about yourself makes a ton of sense. Again, move that up. So you've done a lot of things really right. You're pretty much using, once you've kind of showcased the demo, you're going straight into what I call the path framework, aka problem, appetite, solution. So you're kind of explaining those problems. I like it. The way you explained it, the videos, the case studies, the 45-page PDFs makes total sense for who your buyer is. No notes there. Scroll down. Okay, so I like it. You might want to change up, transfer them from them into like.
Oh yeah, that'll change.
Memorable content.
Yeah, that's just a placeholder.
I think it's underselling you.
No, yeah, that's total placeholder.
Yeah. So saying something about leaning into your wedge where it is transform your product towards, even that by itself would be better than what you have now, because you're just kind of further explaining what that wedge is. And then you're giving them a chance to be able to be wowed later on in the page without confusing them.
Yep, agreed. And I hate the word transform, so that's going to go.
I hate the word memorable content. So
there we go.
Scroll down. Okay, so story-driven journeys, I like it. This makes a ton of sense. Kind of explains your own philosophy. Again, you're kind of introducing your solution, sharing it in one link. That is huge, really important. No notes there. Scroll down.
This will have use cases, so you'll be able to see where the link can go.
Perfect. The deeper buyer insights, I think you've kind of buried some of this deeper down the page, because, if your buyer is a CMO, they're going to care about attribution.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to get it up. I'd love to hear if you have ideas. Yeah.
I would lean into that even more than I don't mind the placement of where it is right here on the page. It makes sense when you're explaining in more detail in the solution sections to have a block like this. What I would challenge you is, can you put that into your hero section as well, where it's like, hey, we do product tours with really, really impactful, innovative insight and attribution tracking that none of the other solutions are doing or even touching. I would figure out a way to massage that in the language that your customers are already saying back to you, and put that into the hero section.
So I'd love to get your thoughts. It's not in here. It's in our Figma, which I wasn't logged in, so I pulled this up. But we're gonna have a tab here that says Insights. It's gonna auto open, and you'll have a shelf on the right that's going to be following every click and showing that path on the right side and seeing that going into the CRM. So that will be front and center at the top. So you're seeing the buyer experience, and you're seeing the data, the data that you're typically only getting from certain sources, all of that all in one view.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea and a really great start. I would still challenge you to put that also in the hero section in some capacity, where it's like, hey, just massaging the way this is worded based on what CMOs and demand gen leaders and product marketers are
maybe
telling
bold
you,
this
so that it becomes incredibly clear that it's not just buyer insights, but it's different types of buyer insights that they're not used to from other product tour solutions or other MacGyver things that they're creating that are custom.
Yep. I love that idea.
Yeah. And then scroll back down. Keep scrolling. Okay. Like it, scroll back down. The next thing I would mention to you, scroll again.
I think we don't have anything else.
The next thing I would mention to you after this, in that case, is the one thing that is missing is, when is that one flagship case study or those 3 testimonials? I always say either have one flagship or ideally a roll of 3 customer testimonials for people parroting back to you, oh, this goes so beyond a product tour. Or this helped me. I came in for a product tour and I was completely wowed and ended up using ScreenSpace for X, Y, and Z as well. And here's the result. putting one flagship case study or 3 testimonials like that right below the section is going to help you convince way many more skeptical, time-buried, probably burnt-out CMOs to actually want to sign up and greenlight the investment to have those case studies there. And then you will finally close out with the final CTA, book a demo or create your account there. And then the last piece that is missing from here that I think will be very easy for you to create is adding in FAQs right on your homepage.
Yeah, we've got definitely all about the FAQs, as you can see from our previous. So we'll pare those down, but that'll be very important. And the case study section is going to be really cool. We'll save that for everyone to see when we go live. But we've got some incredible customer stories and experiences that we're going to visualize down there. So
I love it. So you're already thinking 10 steps ahead. One thing is, can you go pull back up those FAQs?
Yep.
You are doing what I have seen 95% of companies do with their FAQs, particularly founders who write it themselves, which is creating it as a laundry list. Whereas in my experience, what works so much better for conversions, particularly FAQs on a homepage that are so impactful, is to treat them as your objection killers. What are the 3 to 5 biggest objections that your ideal buyers or these CMOs have that keep them from ever signing up for ScreenSpace or ever clicking that buy button? I'm going to ask you that up front right now.
The biggest objections would be technologically, and how is this going to integrate within our stack, and how's it going to connect to everything else, and the full tech stack. With that, security is always a top of mind objection. On the CMO side, that's typically where that looks like. And then how long does it take to build out? These look like they're a lot more complex than they are to actually design. And is it something they can do on their own, which is yes, or can they have an agency help, which is also yes. So those are typically the big questions, objections. Even though we have an easy answer for both, that's typically one of the first questions I have.
Yeah, those 2 questions should be the first 2 questions on your FAQ page. And then I'd also go ahead and say that the why switch from another product or tool, one that you already have, probably a good one to have as well. But I would pare this down to 5 questions total. Maybe you add in that one, do you have a free trial or do you want about pricing that everyone does? But basically pare it down to your biggest objection killers and then massage that 1 to 2 paragraph answer to explain it so that your FAQs are actually selling for you and killing objections instead of just being base killers.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I love that.
Awesome. Do you want to stop sharing your screen?
Sure.
Anything
Thanks. I appreciate that. That was awesome. I love it. Seeing you in action. That was great.
I love it. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I'm excited. We're going to have the new rebrand coming out soon. We're really pushing our new hybrid agency model. That's going to come along with workshops that are traditionally exclusive to our customers. We're opening that up to anyone who's looking for a storytelling narrative design workshop. It doesn't have to include ScreenSpace, but we're finding storytelling is extremely impactful across the board, as you know, Jessica. So that's something that's coming out. So keep an eye on our new website and follow me on LinkedIn for tips and tricks on narrative design, my background in Hollywood, and how that translates into B2B and all the fun things.
Yeah, totally. And then a couple other things that you might want to just mention right off the bat. In user FAQs and mention the whole hybrid agency side of it as well. That's just another way where it's if you have people who are blank page, I don't know what to do. You can totally utilize one of those FAQ questions or multiple of them to be don't know what to do. Plug the agency side of the business. Is a really smart way that I've seen people do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that didn't even touch on in your rebrand is leverage your background. You have a really, really unique background that 99% of founders do not have. You have the Super Bowl film industry experience. Lean into that way more in your rebrand. I'm sure you're doing some of that already with the interactive story, but like that is a unique differentiator that no one else in your space can touch.
Yeah. And we've found that helps with instant credibility when people find out my background. I've been leaning on that a lot more recently, just trying to find how to work that into the homepage, to tease it and then allow people to discover more. But we want to focus on them, not me. So that's where the balance is.
Can I push back on this? But put that in your error section. Don't put that under H1, but in that little description right below it, put in there, hey, built by a team that's literally designed like feature films and Super Bowl. Like that's going to give you credibility that your competitors cannot touch. And also it's an instant differentiator.
Yeah. I love that.
Awesome. Anything else before we wrap?
I think that's it. This has been fun. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on to Coding Camps.